It's Sports Time with Chris, here to talk about the 49ers' big-time win last night against the Los Angeles Rams. To begin, I'm going to do my quick summary, quick thoughts on the game, and then I'll break them all down throughout the rest of the episode. Man, the Niners beat the Rams 26-23 in overtime. Gutsy performance by Mac Jones in this game to overcome who knows what he was going through. I thought he was going to leave the game in a body bag, but overcoming all the injuries, all the doubts. The Rams were 7.5-point favorites. McVay looked like he was baffled by everything that was going on, but the Niners went out there, punched the Rams in the mouth, got up to an early 14-0 lead, which I think was key. Kendrick Bourne had a career day. McCaffrey was lethal in the passing game. Defensively, they held Puka and Devontae in check, and they made stops on Kyren Williams when it mattered the most, including right before overtime, causing a fumble on the 1-yard line. The rookie Alfred Collins, and then stuffing them on 4th and 1 in overtime to seal the victory. Crazy game, crazy win by the Niners. Let's go right into what everyone is talking about. Mac Jones, I was not familiar with your game. All off season, I talked about how Mac Jones was one of the best moves that the 49ers made, bringing him in to be the backup quarterback. And I've been saying he's the best backup quarterback in the NFL. Last night, he looked solid, and he was tough as hell going against this Rams defense that was just battering him because of the 49ers offensive line and their struggles, but he did it by taking what the defense gave him. He did what all the good quarterbacks do. He passed for over 300 yards with Kendrick Bourne as his number one option. Now, I don't think there is a quarterback controversy. Brock is still QB1, but with that being said, even if if Mac Jones is healthy, then I feel 100% comfortable with him leading this team in this offense until Brock is 100%, because it seemed pretty obvious that Brock was not 100% going into that game against Jacksonville. Now we've learned that he re-aggravated the injury in that game. So look, the 49ers are in a prime position to really ride with Mac until Brock is able to get healthy and get back on his feet. Now, of course, that depends on if Mac Jones can stay healthy, because that's not being talked about quite enough. He gutted it out last night. He was puking. He was getting his forearm massaged. His legs looked like they were about to be torn off his body. And I have so much respect for Mac Jones. I knew he would be solid in the Shanahan offense, but I did not know how tough this guy was. And it was really, really cool to see just how much he wanted to be out there and just gutsy, man. Don't know what else to say about it. So as long as he's healthy, I think he should stay in until Brock can get back to 100%, because with Brock's injury, there's a high likelihood of re-injuring it. And I think with this team being 3-0 in the division, they have some room to play a guy like Mac. So that's my thought on that. I know a lot of people are saying Mac should be the starter regardless, and I just don't agree with that. He's good. He played such a tough game, but I still think Brock elevates his offense even more. Even though he did struggle against Jacksonville, I still think Brock is the guy. The offense was really carried by the two receivers in this game. Christian McCaffrey absolutely lighting it up in the receiving game this year, and Kendrick Bourne having a career night. Finally, we saw Kyle Shanahan do something that I've been wanting him to do for a long time, which is the two running back offense with Brian Robinson and CMC. And it was working when they were running it. And then for some reason they went away from it later in the game. So, the offense still some things to clean up. Jake Tonges, which by the way, Al Michaels, it's pronounced Tonges, not Tongus. That was bugging me so much last night whenever Al Michaels would say that. But hey, Tonjes might be tight end too once Kittle's back. He's been looking really solid. It's crazy to think that he never had a career catch until this season. Now he's looking like a really, really good tight end. And man, Sean McVay, his face all game, he just looked like he was in bewilderment. He had no idea what was happening. The defense held Puka Nacua to under 90 yards, which is crazy. He has been absolutely lighting it up. So what was it, like 87, 88, something like that yards is substantial for a defense to hold him to. Of course, The defense also had the forced fumble on Kyron Williams late in regulation as they were getting ready to score. The rookie Alfred Collins making that big time play. Just an absolute haymaker right at Kyron Williams, which hit him in the face, and then the ball as well. And then, of course, they stuffed Kyron on that 4th down and 1 play in overtime to win the game after Fred Warner said that they knew it would be a run based on the formation. And I could be wrong about this, but I swear they ran the exact same play earlier in the game to the opposite side on 4th and 1. So... and it was successful, except that I think they might have run it with Williams. I think it was him. I don't remember for sure. I think that's just the Robert Saleh effect. They knew based on the formation, based on scouting, research, it was going to be a run. Special teams made, in my opinion, the play of the game. The blocked point after try was the play of the game for me because at that point, the Rams were coming back, and if they scored that extra point, they would have taken the lead. So getting that block put the 49ers in prime position to, well, they left it a tie game. They didn't have to, play from behind. So I think that was the play of the game. Of course, Eddie Pinheiro went 4 for 4 on field goals, including a doink make in overtime, which was ultimately the game winner. And the kickoff return team did a pretty good job handling the dirty ball that Cardi likes to kick. The first one was a little bit sketchy though. But overall, they did pretty good. So there are some things that this 49ers team can clean up. I think number one is Marquise Siegel. He had that great play at the end of overtime to stuff Kyron Williams, but the rest of the game he was really a liability in coverage. They had that play to the tight end. I don't even remember his name. Marquise Siegel's in coverage. At the end of regulation on the final drive, Matthew Stafford drew it through a deep ball to Davante Adams, and Marquise Siegel almost pass interfered him. And then he gave a big play to Tutu Atwell in overtime. So that's, he's got to get that cleaned up. I think, I don't know, it's kind of scary having a liability like that as your safety. Hopefully Malik Mustafa will be back sooner rather than later. I think that will make a huge difference. On offense, this team is still struggling to run the football. Christian McCaffrey still, 57 rushing yards, just nowhere to run. And on that last drive in regulation on their own 1 yard line, Christian McCaffrey kept losing yardage. Now, I don't blame McCaffrey. It's the offensive line. Absolutely. A lot of people think McCaffrey has lost a step, and I don't think that's the case at all because he's been making up for it in the passing game. So to me, that's one thing that they really need to figure out is what is going on with this running game and how can they get it fixed? Because you love using McCaffrey in the passing game. Actually, I prefer that. It's a little bit less wear and tear than running up the middle and between all the defensive linemen and offensive linemen, but it's something they're going to have to figure out. Otherwise, they're going to become one-dimensional. Teams know they're going to be able to force them to pass, and this offensive line has also shown that they are not the best at pass blocking either, almost getting Mac Jones killed. I really thought Mac Jones was going to leave that game in a body bag. How screwed would this team had been if Adrian Martinez had to go into the game? It looked for a minute like he would. Mac Jones went down. Was it a third down play? They're trying to score, and Mac Jones just laid down, and I thought he was dead. Luckily, he was not. But I don't think anyone wants to figure out what Adrian Martinez is. I don't think anyone believes he's going to be like Brock Purdy, where he comes in and has instant success. No disrespect to him. He did a lot of really good things. He was the MVP of the USFL or something. Don't remember which league, but I don't want to find out who Adrian Martinez is or how good he is. So that's something that the 49ers need to figure out. They're still struggling a little bit to score. They did get creative in the red zone this game. Of course, they had the wide open play to Tonjes. I think that was more of a defensive bust, to be honest. But hey, I'll take it as a Niners fan. And then, of course, they that little quick out with Christian McCaffrey lined up on a linebacker. That was just an easy touchdown. I'm glad Shanahan figured it out. On the defensive side, this team is still struggling a little bit with trips formations. Seems like when they have a bunch or they have just, guys stacked up, they kind of struggle with that a little bit on the defensive end, and especially when they have rub routes, interference type routes. That's how Puka scored down at like the 1 yard line. They threw just a quick little, I don't even know, like a mini slant, just had Devontae run straight. I don't know how exactly you're supposed to defend that. I think probably if you're yeah, that's tough. They've got to figure out a way to defend that kind of play, because they struggled with last year and it still seems to be a struggle this year. And of course, one big thing, I think they need another pass rusher. They put some pressure on Stafford, but he was still carving up this defense. I think they got 1 or 2 sacks on him, maybe. I think it was just 1 sack by Bryce Huff, but that's just not enough. I'll talk about the outlook of this team here in just a minute, but if they could get home just a few more times or even more pressure on Stafford, I think he would have been able to throw up one of his usual picks that he throws. The 49ers still did not get one in this game. So with that being said, let's talk about the outlook of this team. And it starts with me exactly with where I was talking. Defensive pass rush, specifically defensive end. There has been a lot of speculation about whether they'll make a move with the loss of Nick Bosa. And at this point, I think they absolutely need to, because one point that I made last episode was that you don't replace Nick Bosa, of course, but you have to try to add some depth pieces. You got to add more guys to that rotation, because, yeah, there's Bryce Huff, there's Mykel Williams, and Yetur Gross-Matos has been dealing with a knee injury all season, and he left this game with a hamstring injury, so now he's dealing with that. So yes, this team absolutely needs to go out and get a defensive end. Would it be cool if it was Trey Hendrickson? Yeah, it absolutely would be. That is the closest to a Nick Bosa replacement as you can get on the trade market. However, it would be probably a pretty expensive trade if you make that trade. Like multiple first day draft picks, I would guess. Maybe, who knows? Who knows what it would take. Trey Hendrickson would be awesome as a 1-year rental because you don't have to pay him. He's going to be a free agent anyway. I mean, the Bengals aren't going anywhere, so it makes a lot of sense from that aspect. But from a future draft pick standpoint, I don't think this is a move that's viable for the 49ers unless they're pushing the chips in on this season and they think they can win the Super Bowl. So if somehow that trade goes down, where the Niners get Trey Hendrickson, it's because they believe they're a Super Bowl caliber team. And if they don't make that trade, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't think that. It also means that they want to preserve some draft picks. It could be the asking price is, too high, but I do think a move needs to be made as far as defensive end goes. So how far can this team go this season? To me, I said this last night, if the 49ers somehow find a way to beat this Los Angeles Rams team, they can go really, really far. They beat a tough division rival who just went toe-to-toe with the Super Bowl champions with no quarterback one. They were down their top 3 receivers, their top tight end, left guard, defensive end, and they had multiple injuries throughout the game as well. So I think they can do it if they can beat a tough LA in that scenario. Now it's going to take getting a little bit healthy, of course. Maybe that defensive end move that I was just talking about, Brock Purdy coming back, McCaffrey not collapsing because he's getting 30 touches a game. So yeah, I think this team can go really, really far. Kyle Shanahan has been doing a great job this season, and so many fans acted like the sky was falling after they lost to Jacksonville. Quite honestly, I didn't feel that way. Yeah, it was a bad game, but from a long-term view, I don't think it was really... Yes, the 49ers would have loved to win that game, but I think this team knew that the Rams game was much more important. Maybe they should have let Purdy rest another week in preparation for Los Angeles, but I think they were really not focused on the Rams, but they kind of had the Rams. They were looking ahead at the Rams a little bit more than they were worried about Jacksonville. And Jacksonville is an AFC team. If this was in years past where Jacksonville was just not a good team, yeah, I'd be a little bit more concerned, but Jacksonville is on the rise. They're looking really solid. The sky was not falling for me after that game. I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't get to watch it. I had to watch, highlights afterwards. I still didn't feel panicked like a lot of people did. So yeah, I believe this team is capable of going really far this season. They've had some really, really gritty games so far. I think that is so key, so key for a team that wants to make a push, is to not just go through gritty games, but to win those gritty games. And so far, they've mostly done that, even against Jacksonville. They had, 3-4 turnovers, and they still had a shot at the end of the game. Hey, this is a different 49ers team. So with all that being said, hopefully I didn't miss anything. But yeah, I just wanted to give a quick little reaction to the game last night. Really, really exciting. Amazon Prime usually does not have the most, Thursday night games are usually not the most exciting. So for that one to be as good as it was really fun, especially as a fan of the 49ers. Now, Al Michaels was a little, he's a legend. He was great, but I don't know. Next season, maybe they can find someone else to do that role. One thing that Prime does really have going for it is the Prime Vision. It's the only way I can watch these football games on Thursday night. I mean, I wish every game would broadcast in this, in the Madden style view. It's so good. I don't necessarily love all the all the tracking of the players and stuff. It's kind of cool if there's a way to like toggle it on and off. I would really enjoy that, but it can be a little bit distracting, I think. But I do really enjoy seeing that. It's both cool and frustrating, especially when you see a guy open. Now, of course, you have to keep in mind you have a much better angle than the quarterback who's actually on the ground. So when you see a guy open, you're like, throw it there. They don't throw it. It's a little frustrating, but yeah, it was such a good game. Glad I got to watch it. So up next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll be previewing that game next Friday, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for listening and taking the time to check me out. I release episodes on Friday for my Sports Time podcast, and I appreciate every single one of you that has listened to me and who has subscribed, followed, done all those things. Thank you. This has been Sports Time with Chris.